So look, I understand that we all have differing opinions on Mike McCarthy, which I will highlight in today's video, but more specifically, I wanted to talk about his recent comments in recent interviews, talking about all the speculation of his job and all this other crap. So we'll get into all that today, and then we'll go over a little bit more about how I'm feeling and where I feel the team's headed. So before we get into that, if you guys could do me a solid favor and like the video, doesn't take too long to do and helps the channel out a lot, that'd be greatly appreciated. Subscribe if you're new. We're trying to hit 10K by the end of the year, so by hitting that subscription button, it'd be greatly appreciated. We reach that goal, I eat 2 of the world's hottest chips, you see me suffer, and hit that notification bell. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this whole Mike McCarthy fiasco, or his whole thoughts and opinions now that he's kind of gone out there and said what he feels about the situation. Now, whether or not that it's the media answer or how he truly feels, obviously people will be like, I don't know. But what I first want to do is show you the clip of what he said, and then we'll get further into it. So here's what he said on the Rich Eisen show.
Are these narratives unusual? Absolutely. I've never dealt with anything like this. Do I wish I didn't have to come on here and answer questions about it? Yeah, no doubt about it. I wish we were talking about something else, but it is part of our landscape, and I just think keeping things real and keeping things focused, because at the end of the day, it's about the people that you're in charge of. It's about the people you coach, and most importantly, it's about our locker room, and our locker room's about winning. I love our players. I love what they bring to the table. I think the advancement we made from year one to year two was impressive. We know we have more to offer. The emotion and the sting of how we lost is real, but in my lifetime in this league, it'll make us better, and I truly believe that. So it's part of our process, and it's part of our hard learning experience. But I'm not naive to the fact that you got to take advantage of opportunities when they're in front of you. We did a lot of really good things, some great things this year, but we didn't play our best football at the most important time in our last game, and that's what we have to really focus on moving forward.
So look, huge shout out to Rich Eisen. He did a fantastic job interviewing Mike McCarthy. I think he's done a fantastic job at asking the questions that needed to be asked, and there was a lot in there that I feel that you could take away from. Now, whether you think Mike's being truthful or not, I'm not going to have that type of discussion. What I'm here to talk about, though, is, the stuff that he said. Like, hey, it's an unusual situation I'm in. I'd rather just be talking about how we can fix this team. That I do agree with. Whether you like Mike or not, I think what's important that we need to realize as Cowboy fans is it's extremely unfair to him to put him in this situation after he took a 6-win team, moved some things around, and got us to 12 wins. And sure, we lost in the first round of the playoffs. I got you there. But to get to the playoffs in a year that everyone thought that you were the third best team in the division, or like a 9-win team and barely getting to the playoffs, you did pretty good. Okay, like I thought the Cowboys would be a 12-win team, and they hit my goal. Do I think they'll win 12 games this year? Probably not, but for me, the biggest thing is developing a consistent winning football program, and I want everyone to understand that. Jason Garrett never took the Cowboys back-to-back to the playoffs ever, okay? The only way he got into the playoffs was winning the division, and he only did that. Let's see, 2014, 2016, and 2018. Those were the only 3 times the Cowboys made the playoffs at him at the helm, and they won 2 playoff games, okay? So for Mike McCarthy, right, Mike McCarthy, all he has to do to establish himself as a better coach than Jason Garrett, or rather, get that crap off, win the division next year, break some records in the sense of, or long droughts, where if you can win the division again, and get to the playoffs again, and let's say you win a playoff game this time, I firmly believe Mike McCarthy earns another year as the head coach. I understand that people want to be like, well, you had to get to the NFC Championship game or bust, which is one of the positions that I'm at, but that's because of the talent that you have here, and I think that in order for me to give you a gauge of what's a successful season or not comes down to what team you constructed. And I think that once the Cowboys finalize their roster moves and we get to the draft, that's when we can have a conversation of what does Mike McCarthy need to do to keep his job. Because as much as it pains me to say it, he's on the hot seat. And, I get it. We're frustrated with how the season ended, but I think that we can't let that cloud our judgment of the fact that Mike McCarthy took this team from that 6-win squad, with the injuries involved, and you got that 12-win team. Whether you want to acknowledge if it was like fluky as hell or not, fine, but they still won those games. And I think that this is where Mike needs to improve on. I think that Mike needs to work with Kellen Moore to make him more experienced. Mike can't just let him flounder around like that because he's a young guy. And this isn't me creating excuses for Kellen Moore. Like, this is just being honest with you. Like, if Kellen was exposed to Scott Linehan and Jason Garrett, and he's a young guy. It's not like he's a stubborn old man that's going to continue doing what he's doing. I firmly believe that if Mike can help him, I think that Kellen can be a much better offensive coordinator. Mike has that experience. He's won a Super Bowl. He's done all those things. He's gotten years of playoff experience. You need to teach this guy how to do those things. If you feel like, and this is the part where it irritates me, is if you feel that, Kellen's an issue, you got to let him go. You can't just sit here and be like, well, it's installed. No, that's the part where I'll be like, Mike, you kind of have to help him out. You can't let him flounder around like that, especially when, he's young, and you kind of have to teach him those things. And whether you think that's, it's his job to be the offensive coordinator. My point being is, as the head coach, you manage your staff. You need to help them if they need help, especially if your job's on the line. Like, Dan Quinn's doing fine because he's an experienced guy, but you have a young guy in Kellen Moore that might need some tips, and, he has Jason Garrett and Scott Linehan all over him. So, like, and we've seen glimpses of, like, Kellen can draw up plays that look good on paper. I just think you need to teach him that situational awareness, and I think he can. But not to go on and on that, but look, I like Mike. I think that, for what it's worth, he definitely has earned the right to coach another year, and if he meets my expectations, I'm not going to sit here and complain, because remember, Jason Garrett did not have a winning season until 2014. That's what you can argue if 2010 counts, but point being, when you go from 2011, 2012, 2013 to finally making the playoffs in your fourth year, no, like you can't do that. So the third year is a big year for me to determine whether or not Mike McCarthy continues to deserve his job. Because if this guy wins you 11 games or more, you win the division, and, if it's another first-round exit, depending on how you got to that point, then we're going to have a discussion. Like, if it's like a game like the Buccaneers game where you did everything right offensively, you did pretty much everything you could, and something just arid happens, I'm not going to be mad at that. But what I will be upset with is if we go into a playoff game and, Mike kind of says things, and I think he shouldn't say them, like, oh, you thought the team was nervous, and a lot of people blame that on him. I think that, he's trying to, you have a young team that, on one side of the ball defensively, but offensively you have experience there, so really, you need to do better there. But I will say that Mike needs to work on one thing, and I know someone in the comments will mention it. The penalties need to freaking stop. You need to have better accountability there. That is 110% what I'm looking for in year 3. When you're in that top 10 of penalties, that ain't good, man. So for Mike, I implore you, hopefully this third year you can do something. There's a reason why coaches don't usually win another Super Bowl with another team, but I think that Mike has, again, earned the right to coach another season, and whether you like him or not, the fact remains is that, he's doing his best given the circumstances, and I mean, I think we're going to have an interesting third year with another draft class now that will be several years removed from that Jason Garrett experience, I think that's going to really tell on what kind of coach we have. So I don't want to go on forever. You know, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Slap a like on it, subscribe if you're new, and hit the notification bell if you haven't done so already. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great one, guys. Bye-bye.